Welcome. Today we're going to be discussing why Buu, specifically Kid Buu, is the perfect final villain for Dragon Ball Z. Now myself, I have been a huge fan of Dragon Ball Z ever since I switched on my TV at the age of 5 years old and I tuned in to see Goku versus Frieza on planet Namek, and it took me from then till today, and I continue to be inspired, continue to be engaged with the world of Dragon Ball. Now I have Akira Toriyama, great inspiration to myself. I took the works of Dragon Ball and Lord of the Rings and started writing my own books. And while I was writing my books, the link is in the description if you'd like to give it a shot and a nice read. I was thinking about making a villain, a final boss for my story, and the first thing that came to my mind when I was writing at the beginning of the universe, and I thought Kid Buu. Now we know the origin of Buu, the original story and origin of Buu was he was Babari's creation to destroy the Supreme Kais and Ball the Furious Force. But if you look at the retcon of Akira Toriyama, Buu's origin, he was here since the beginning of time, since the beginning of the universe, since the universe existed. Buu has always been around. He was never born evil, he was never born good. But he took in his surroundings, and unfortunately mankind wasn't the best. And Buu slowly became evil with all the negative energy and evil energy around him. And that made Kid Buu, become one of the most destructive forces that the universe has ever seen. And this theme is absolutely fantastic because Kid Buu wasn't born an adult, he was born a kid, and kids just take on everything that the world gives them. And how did Babidi gain control over this wonderful, powerful, destructive being known as Kid Buu? Well, kids, every single kid looks for guidance and they look for someone to look up to. So Babidi, obviously very old, a magician. He's been around for the years, around for multiple thousands of millions of years potentially. And he saw Kid Buu, saw the destruction that he was causing, and saw that Buu just needed a bit of guidance. And unfortunately, Babidi used that to use Kid Buu's innocence in not knowing what was actually going on to his advantages. Babidi just tried to destroy the universe, trying to destroy the gods of creation, these supreme Kais, and Kid Buu couldn't know any better because once again Kid Buu is just a child. And this carries on into the Buu saga as we see Fat Buu, no longer Kid Buu, but Fat Buu making friends with Hercule, someone we all find a complete buffoon, a moron, and making friends with a dog just to give him a bit more innocence that he actually isn't that destructive. He's just being used for the wrong purposes and the wrong reasons. And as the story goes on, we see Kid Buu fighting the Supreme Kais, taking them on, absorbing every single Supreme Kai, destroying them, and just taking on their personality, taking on their persona. We see it with Gotenks, with Gohan in his ultimate form. Buu literally isn't anything, just taking on the world, taking on everybody else's things, and doesn't actually have anything himself. He's just a being, a senseless child. And this idea, clearly Kid Buu sparked the person who created the universes, the 13 universes, the Omni King. As the Omni King is also a small man, and he's the ultimate god of the entire Dragon Ball universe. So Akira Toriyama must have always had this idea that God potentially is a child just playing around, trying to discover different things, and just builds on the world around him. And with this taken into account, we know Buu is just the energy of the universe, all taken into one being. And this clearly inspired the GT Shadow Dragon saga, with the negative energy, all the Dragon Balls being used for unnecessary purposes, and the Dragon Balls coming back to haunt him in the end with the Shadow Dragons. And Buu also inspired the god of destruction, known as Beerus, many years down the line in the future. Now, if you just look at the entire Dragon Ball series on a whole, let's leave out Dragon Ball, but the Dragon Ball Z series, we had Goku versus Raditz, that's his brother, new creation, Goku's an alien. Then we had the Saiyan saga, the Saiyans are the mightiest warriors in the entire universe. Then from there, we went to the Emperor of the Universe, big jump, to Lord Frieza, and then from there, from the Emperor of the Universe, we had Cell, the embodiment of every single villain and hero that we've ever known. And from there, we went to Majin Buu, potentially the first creation and the embodiment of mankind and the evil within the entire universe. That stage and level of villains just keep increasing, and it actually makes sense in the end, which is great on Akira Toriyama's part for building up all the villains and bosses and making it sensible of why they keep getting stronger every single time. So with all of this said, the end of Dragon Ball Z is actually better than we expected, and it's the perfect ending. Because as Goku throws Kid Buu with the Spirit Bomb, turning into Super Saiyan, transforming into his Super Saiyan form, destroying Kid Buu, he asks for one final wish, and that wish is to resurrect Kid Buu, the embodiment of the universe, who unfortunately became evil and who became a monster. And he was resurrected to become Oob. Goku did not only resurrect Buu because he thought he was strong, but he saw an innocence in Kid Buu that he thought needed to be restored and wanted to give Buu a new life, and that is what he did. He wanted to give Buu, the first being of creation, kindness and positivity and good energy around him to potentially become the next savior of the world and the universe. So Goku flying off with Oob on his shoulder is not only flying off with the next protector of the world, but Goku has the literal first being. Goku has the universe on his shoulders, and he's raising the universe to become what it should have been in the first place, giving it a new life. And I think we all ended up being Oob at the end of the day, holding on to the main character of Dragon Ball Z as he pushed us through our struggles, pushed us beyond all the obstacles that stood in our way, which makes the end of Dragon Ball Z the perfect ending.